what is the biggest fear today? It's the potential of AI and robotics replacing and displacing humans at work. This session is about us, about human beings, about human transformation in the face of technology disruption. I'm Chen, the founder of UnLearn. We experiment and implement solutions to transform human skills. Along with me, 3 key influencers in education technology from the US and China. So without further ado, let's dive right into the discussion. So Dennis, Anthony, and David. First thing first, AI. Hottest topic in any tech conference. So what's your take on the potential of AI replacing and displacing humans at work? Start with Dennis.
Yeah, sure. So, I think obviously there's a lot of conversation around AI, and people are talking about, how that's going to displace all the work. Certainly, we should be aware that there's going to be opportunities that AI will create, but at the same time, we should be realistic about the impact it will have on the world of work. The reality of it is, job loss is tightly correlated to automation, and we have to be extra careful because with technology, you can't really uninvent it. So we have to be aware of the changes that's going to it will impact.
Right. Anthony, you're from China. China is really big on AI, is on national policy. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, actually, we are working on AI a lot as well. iTutorGroup is actually the largest real-time, real-person online English learning platform. And what we are doing actually is we not only simply matching up the teachers, the tutors in the States or any where countries in the world, and matching with the clients. Major of them are in China. What we are doing is actually we are developing our own algorithm, trying to push up and matching with individualized demands from every single client on our platform, and then match them with the relevant teachers and the materials consultants with the clients, which are the students. So the key question is, can the teacher or the tutors in the future can be replaced? Yeah, we are doing very hard on that, and a lot of works have been done. The traditional way of learning is actually being disrupted in a very fast way in China, and I think later on we can discuss more on that.
Right.
Yeah.
David, what do you think?
I think AI is one of the forces that is just increasing the need for us to really be agile as a workforce and as individuals. And I think as you think about workforce agility, about learning agility, it's no longer sufficient just to be thinking about, am I good at my job today? I really believe we've entered the time where you have to ask, I have to be qualified for the job I'm doing today. And in this moment in time, I need to be qualified for the job I am going to do tomorrow.
Right. Now, AI as a technology, like any other technology, can be constructive and destructive, depending on how you use it. But for one thing is it somewhat or somehow exposes our human vulnerabilities. Formally, we call this skills gap. Slides, please. So this is what we learned in the school system. But recent years, we are told we need more computer skills, so we got coding schools. But that's not it. We need more. But we need a lot more. So we need to analyze problems, solve problems, how to communicate, how to work with people. And not only that, we need a lot more personality traits. And these are the 16 essential skills for the 21st century, according to the World Economic Forum. The key takeaway is a lot of these skills are not well represented, nurtured, underdeveloped, under-monitored, under-assessed in our current system. So given this skills gap, Anthony, one question for you is, you're from China, and Chinese parents and students are still pretty addicted to this ideas of perfecting their academic skills, which is basically just part of the relevant skills demanded in the workplace. And you guys are in English learning, which is a core skills, but still, given what we know about skills gap, how can you help the parents and students at least to narrow the gap going forward, given what we know about what happened in the future?
I think most of the audience nowadays still view China as very much exam or exam result score-oriented country in terms of the evaluation and the screening process of where you started as kids, young kids, all the way to that out. But what we are doing right now is we provide the real-time tutoring on language learning. Currently, the majority of it is English, but we never market or position our products or services as exam-oriented. We never guarantee our clients, like once you live or you started learning on our platform, how much score I can guarantee you to improve after certain months. But what we are trying to do is we provide a real-time, real person interaction between the students and the clients based on the client's individual needs. And we push the relevant materials and the teachers based on the algorithm we developed. We call it DCGS, stands for Dynamic Course Generation System. We try to teach is actually the cultural and the interaction skills behind from the different, based on the different demand our clients tell us, and from their learning behavior, our algorithm detects, and then push them with more and more relevant information, trying to grow their skills rather than just simply improve their scores on, say, spoken English or written English or other tests.
So basically, it's a machine-driven, data-driven system, but you still use that to make it more personal, and thus you would expect to use the system not only in the space of English learning, but eventually expand into other skill sets. That's
Yes.
how your approach to narrowing the skills gap in China.
Yes,
Now,
and the good thing is along the growth with our company, we see actually there is a shift, not only from the Education Bureau, the authorities in China, but also parents. They're shifting their focus from the traditional view of more exam-oriented or score-oriented to those skill-based and more ability-centric. Yeah.
Okay. Now, like I mentioned in this diagram, a lot of those skills are so-called soft skills in today's language. And Dennis, I read your blog before. You wrote about soft skills. You said we can be too soft on soft skills. What do you mean by that? And also, as you know, in our current system, in workplace, for example, in the corporate world, the way we recruit, the way we assess candidates is still pretty attached to technical hardcore skills. So how can we, as workers, as employees, how can we help ourselves to narrow this gap?
Yeah, so I think to begin with, you have to recognize that there are these other things that we call soft skills. I think there's so much focus on the hard skills, primarily because it's easily quantifiable. And frankly, with all the automation, the artificial intelligence that we're talking about, we're thinking about automation on the hard skill side. But we have to think about all the things that make us uniquely human, whether that's creativity, communication, those types of things. It's equally important. If you're going to make some sort of metaphor or an analog, it's a little bit like if you want to take care of yourself, maybe you want to go work out and be healthy and go to the gym, but you also have to think about what you're eating as well. So it's both the hard skills and the soft skills, and oftentimes we find that people don't put enough emphasis and recognition that the soft skills are equally important. Again, these are the elements that make us uniquely human.
Right. But now you yourself, you run the platform, help us to learn anytime, anywhere. But you are also, you're head of the company. How do you help your employees actually learn new skill, keep learning, relearning, upskill, reskill?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, the employees that work at Udemy, they self-select into a bucket of lifelong learners. People are always avid and thinking about how do they improve their skills, how do they improve the learning, their capabilities for the future. So they can certainly take any course on Udemy at no cost to them. We also offer them a budget for lifelong learning as well for different modalities of learning. So, what Udemy provides is primarily video-based, asynchronous learning, but if they want to go to conferences, engage with other instructors in different settings, they're able to do that, and we provide them with a budget.
Right. Now, this version of Skills Gap is the present tense. As technology changes over time, so does the skills gap. Hence, we have to do lifelong learning. Now, lifelong learning is your expertise, David. That's your business area. And your mission or your slogan is called jailbreak the degree. Could you explain to our Asian audience here, what do you mean by jailbreak the degree, and what's your approach to upskilling, reskilling the workforce in the long haul? And you told me about your vision this morning, and I'm sure that they love to hear about how you like to reform the whole landscape going forward.
Yeah, so our mission, we say, is to jailbreak the college degree. And by that, we really mean to open it up, hence jailbreak. Right now, when you ask someone, tell me about your education, they tell you where they went to university or what degree they have. And that's absurd. That really is totally absurd. And it's not because university is absurd, but it's because that is an absurd answer to that question. If I asked you, tell me about your health, and you said, well, I ran a marathon in 1985, that is an absurd answer to that question, not because marathons are absurd, but that is an absurd answer because your health in 1985, at that point in time, is such a small function of what your health might be today in this present moment in time. And the same is true of education. To tell me what you did 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago is of such small relevance to your capabilities, to your knowledge, to your skills today in this moment in time. It's an absurd answer. And what we need is the market wants the ability to speak the language of skills, but it can't. And that is why we are left speaking the language of degrees. And so our mission is to really bring the world away to consistently, in a standardized, universal way, answer for our ongoing education and skills.
Right. Now, we still have about 5 minutes or so. I still have 2 questions, basically. One is we started off talking about AI and the fact that we are going to have to work with machine going forward is a new kind of division of labor. And in this new order of labor relations, I'd like to hear from you, from any of you. In this new order of labor relations, what can we do to make the best use of AI to create the best teamwork experience possible? Anybody? Dennis, Anthony, David?
Yeah, I'll jump in and take it. I think if the skills gap is not a universal bad, we talk about it as if it is a negative, but it happens because innovation is occurring, and that is good. What we want to see, though, is that our ability to keep up with innovation is not falling behind. We want to be seeing the skills gap and our rate of learning sort of stay consistently close. We don't want to get outpaced. So as we talk about AI, that's going to make innovation go faster. So what that means is our learning, the human capital side of it, needs to also accelerate. And I think that comes back to lifelong learning, continuous learning, creating a culture of learning, and really reinforcing that with our employees and our workforce.
Right. Now, today, in today's world, everything is smart. We got smartphone, smart city, smart whatever. Knowing what you know about education technology, knowing what you foresee, how this workplace, how the tech world will evolve, how do you define being smart as a human being? Dennis.
Well, I think it's actually really, really hard to predict what's going to happen to the future of technology, so we don't even, in some ways, we don't even think about that. Instead, rather, we focus on the things that we know won't change. So there's a couple things that we believe in. So the first is the world will continue to change faster than ever before. The second is there are going to be people all over the world who are going to continue to want to have access to affordable, practical, skills-based education. And importantly, to stay relevant in this future world of work, especially since that world of work is changing, you have to continue to learn. You have to continue to learn new skills. And if anything, the most important skill that one can have is the ability to learn a new skill.
Right. And
I think, in our view, is our platform is designed to provide people nowadays and in the future with the access or ability to learn anytime, anywhere, on demand. Sometimes you don't even need to notice what the most relevant material for you, or what is the best to fit you. But our system, our platform, can based on your past learning behaviors or the data we collected, and then based on the algorithm we developed, to help you become a smarter people. Yeah.
right, David.
Yeah, I think being smart is not sufficient. You know, it's really about our ability to learn. And you know, you can be a great student and a terrible learner. I mean, that is a reality. And I think, you know, as the rate of innovation continues to increase, our ability to be good learners will be more important than our ability to be quote unquote smart.
Right. Student and learner, different concept, same as educational learning. We all get some kind of education in terms of learning is not constrained to the physical location or to whatever subject that we focus on. Now, we only got like less than 2 minutes. Last comment. If you want to offer like a couple of pieces of advice, career advice, to our audience about how they could position themselves to develop their future career, whatever that is, what would those be? We'll start with you first, David, this time.
Yeah, I think 20%. That's the amount of time that you need to be dedicating to continuous learning. I think if you aren't, you will start to get outpaced in today's economy.
I think, first of all, we believe language is power. Language is my power and your power.
Right.
So, and what's more important is actually the culture behind the language in different countries, and then that will go beyond your current territories and the boundaries.
Lifelong learning, language skills, the cultural awareness, sensitivities, and Dennis.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it comes down to never stop learning. The world is going to continue to change, and we all have a responsibility to keep up with that.
All the things we talk about today, in fact, has a long way to go. 20 minutes, 18 minutes is not good enough. So, in fact, tonight, we will continue this discussion, the future of education, on the Kowloon side and the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. This is a RISE community event. Anybody like to join us, please come over. And once again, thank you very much. Thank you, speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.